2-hour pay-per-view. It actually started around 5 and ended at 9. Usually they're 3 hours, but because they add some extra matches, this show ended up being a lot longer than we expected. Before I continue with this, because I want to make this clear, because everyone's going to have conflicting opinions about this show, because there was some stuff that was good, there was stuff that was bad, and then there was one instance that I think might have ruined the show for everybody. And I will get to that in a minute, but when I looked at the card, I thought some of the stuff was questionable, like it didn't need to be on here. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the card. I'm going to talk about what things I liked, what I didn't like, and we're especially going to go on that controversial thing that happened in the middle of the show involving Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara. We'll get to that. Let's go and start with the opener. First of all, the real opener, the Young Bucks and Jurassic Express. I am not talking about Big Swole and Brick River. You know what? I will say this. Tony Khan at least listens, because apparently people wanted to see this match on the main card. I don't know why. You know, I will stand by this. Big Swole's good, but she's been very lackluster in AEW. But then again, you can say that about a majority of the women. So when they put this match on the kickoff, I was like, good. But because the fans wanted to see this match, they decided to put on the main card, ended up being easily the worst match on the card. No, but then again, that could be debatable because of the whole Matt Hardy thing. But then again, the reason why that match wasn't good was for a different reason, a more serious reason. So Big Swole and Britt Baker sucked. It was almost like a cinematic type match. It was like 5 minutes long. It felt more like one of those cinematic matches. It did not need to be on the show. You could easily just done this on Dynamite. I don't know why you did this. That's it. Why are we doing these weird stipulation names where it's basically just a false count anywhere match? That's what this match was. It was a false count anywhere match, except it was in a dentist room. It's not the whole point of a tooth and nail. It's just you fight in a dentist office. They didn't really explain exactly what a tooth and nail match was. So that match sucked. It was a waste of time. But everyone wanted to see that match. Well, you got it. And like I expected, it sucked. It was not good. Waste of time. So we get on to the real opener. Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express. My only gripe was there was no reason for this match to be on the card. Let's be honest, as much as a good match this was, this match really did not need to be on the card. There was no storyline built between these teams. There was no reason for fighting. There was nothing I like. It wasn't like a number one contenders match. If it was a number one contenders match, that'd be one thing. If this was a build-up feud, a rivalry, that would make sense. But it was just a match to get the Young Bucks on and Jurassic Express because they're extremely popular. Young Bucks is one of the best tag teams out there, and Jurassic Express is one of the most popular teams out there. So in all honesty, this match could easily just be on an episode of Dynamite. Actually, it probably would be better if they just killed off the Big Swole and Britt Baker match altogether, and you just put Jurassic Express and Young Bucks for this week's episode of Dynamite as a special attraction type match. But like I said, I thought this match was still very good. Young Bucks and Jurassic Express, it was the match you thought it would be. Very good, had some high-flying moves, some power moves, and Luchasaurus is just awesome. He is an awesome competitor. He's a great big guy. Again, I was told that this guy's really impressive. When I met Thunder Rosa in person, which I'm Facebook buddies with, which we'll get to her match in a little bit, when I talked to her, I met her in person a few years ago. She told me when her time working Lucha Underground that Luchasaurus is a very impressive big guy. He's very good in the ring, and he's proving he's becoming one of the more popular acts in AEW. I said it myself, along with Jungle Boy, this guy has potential to be a world champion if booked properly. The Young Bucks won. I kind of figure that. I think, come on, we can all figure the Young Bucks would have won. The match was good, but the only problem was this match really did not need to be on the show. There was nothing on the line. It was not a rivalry match. It was just a match we needed to put on the show. Good match. Can't complain about a good match, but there was just no real reason for it. They could have just put this on Dynamite. It would have made just as way more sense. That's just how I personally feel. Maybe some of you would disagree, but that's what I personally believe. Next, we get the 21-man Battle Royal, or Casino Battle Royal. The returning Casino Battle Royal. Even though we're not at Double or Nothing, I don't know why they called it a Casino Battle Royal, but whatever. So basically, Casino Battle Royal is you have 5 men starting the ring. Every 3 minutes, you got another 5 wrestlers, another 5 wrestlers, another 5 wrestlers, until the 21 entrant, which is the Joker, comes out. And I'm pretty sure everyone had speculations who number 21 was. I'm not really going to go to all the entrants because it'll take forever. Just going to go to the key points here. But 21 was not Rusev or Miro. It was definitely not Brock Lesnar. People think it was Brock Lesnar, baby laugh. But it was Matt Sydal, formerly known as Evan Bourne. Apparently he botched the shooting star press, which I did not catch. I didn't see that. I didn't catch that, but apparently he botched a shooting star press. That sucks then. We get this Casino Battle Royal. We had some other entries. We have Sunny Kiss in there. Band of Sunny Kiss. We have Will Hobbs, former APW Internet Champion. That guy is great. I hope they utilize him a lot because he got a few eliminations in this match. I thought he did very well for himself. You have Billy Gunn in there. I think there might be one other name in there that was entered last minute. Maybe that was Matt Sydal. But the Casino Battle Royal, where the winner would become no more contender, or at least get a future AEW World Championship match. We had Darby get put into a body bag and with thumbtacks in it, basically just tossed out of the ring with thumbtacks in it by Brian Cage. We had that kind of spot. We had a few eliminations there. But at the end of the day, Lance Archer ended up winning. The man Lance Archer won. I had kind of a strong feeling of how the main event was going to pull out. The man Archer won. I kind of knew where the main event was going to go. Who was going to kind of win this. Lance Archer won because let's be honest, guys. Ever since Lance Archer lost to Cody Rhodes in that TNT Championship tournament, we can all agree he's been doing nothing. He's been throwing hissy fits, attacking people randomly. He's been wrestling on dark. Why the hell is he wrestling on dark? He's better than that. And just trying to scare everybody. That's all he's been doing. He hasn't done anything. And Archer's one of the best big men you have on that roster. When they signed him, that was huge. I was happy. You know, when he left New Japan, it looked like they were starting to utilize him in Japan, and then he left. He was gone, and then all of a sudden he gets signed to AEW. We're like, holy shit, he gets signed to AEW. And just booked him right. They were booking him right in the tournament. He lost to Cody, and then he just kind of floundered. He wasn't buried, but he just wasn't doing anything relevant. So Lance Archer needed this win more. And let's be honest, Darby Allin did not need to win this Battle Royal. Darby Allin is going to be fine. He's very young. He's still popular. Clearly, they're still doing this feud with him and Ricky Starks and Brian Cage, which is fine. At least it gets him something to do. But Lance Archer is directionless. I think he was the one that needed this win more than anybody because he was been floundering. He's in his 40s, guys. He's not young. If you're going to pull the trigger on this guy, you got to do it soon. Because you may never know when this guy's going to retire. This guy could get severe injury, and that's it. So Archer wins, so he's going to get a future AEW World title match. And I got a prediction of what I think they should do in terms of that World title match and where it should take place. Then we get to the one probably everyone's talking about, the one that probably is going to get this show a thumbs down just for this moment. Just this. We got Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara in basically a last man standing match. First of all, they brawled in almost like a stadium area, so they didn't fight in the arena first, in the Daily's Place arena. They brawled a little bit, they fought. You saw Sammy Guevara try to run over Matt Hardy with a golf cart in idiot fashion where he just crashes it. I think it was like the whole Al Snow thing when Al Snow drove the golf cart to was trying to get Maven at WrestleMania 18 with that hardcore championship thing they were doing, which by the way, those skits were hilarious. Where he basically just runs through a bunch of boxes, he totally misses like an idiot, a goof. So Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara are brawling and they get on a sissy lift. Matt Hardy activates it as sissy lift. And, you know, they're fighting and there's a couple tables there right below them. So obviously they're going to do a spot where one of them's going to crash through the tables and stuff like that. And Sammy Guevara ends up putting Matt Hardy through the tables. So he goes through the tables, but the problem was most of his body, his lower body, hit the tables. But the back of his shoulders and the back of his head did not hit the table. And he hit his head on the concrete bad. It was hard to tell from the replays how it looked, but apparently it sucked enough because after that, Matt Hardy was barely conscious. He was barely conscious. He was trying to brawl with Sammy Guevara for a good 30 seconds, but something was wrong. He was not standing up. He was getting really sloppy with his punching and stuff. It was awkward. So you see Aubrey and some medical staff pulled Sammy Guevara away to check on Matt, and they just ring the bell. They called the match off. They did the dread X symbol. Something was wrong with Matt Hardy. And I was confused at first. I was like, what the hell's going on? What's going on here? Is Matt legit injured? Apparently he is, because now he's at the hospital, but you would never know that because after a good 2 minutes of getting the guys separated and trying to get Matt, out of the arena, he starts brawling with Sammy Guevara again. And they start brawling up to a scaffold where Matt Hardy basically throws Sammy Guevara off it through a giant crash pad type of thing and wins the match that way. So I don't know what happened. So it's either two things. Either Matt Hardy did get legit injured and AEW decided to still continue the match even though something's wrong with Matt. Or two, this was a complete storyline and Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara had a terrible match with stupid booking. From what I'm hearing, if Matt Hardy's in the hospital, this was not a storyline. This was not part of the plan. And when I think of AEW, it doesn't feel right. For a grudge match like this, I just don't see that being like a proper match. I don't see AEW doing stuff like that. So what happened was, I think Matt Hardy said he wanted to continue the match, and AEW just let him continue the match. They took a 2-minute break, and they just let him finish up their match like the last minute or two. They did the final spot, and then that was it. And because of this has pissed off a lot of people. A lot of people are mad, not at Sammy Guevara, because Sammy Guevara did nothing wrong. Okay, it was a freak accident. Stuff like this happens. If anyone's to blame, it is AEW. And people are pissed at AEW. And this was the match and moment that made people kind of hate this show. Forget about the matches. This was the stuff that made kind of people start losing respect for AEW. Because they're saying that AEW allowed Matt Hardy, who was clearly off his rocker, he was not there, to continue a match. The minute he hit his head and he started limping, they called the match off, which was the right thing to do. Now, again, because it was a match, yes. Normally I grade these matches say it was shit, but look, if the guy got legit fucking injured, I can't help it. I can't help not trying to grade the match because how can you grade a match if someone got legit hurt? It's not fair. But instead of stopping the match, They stopped the match and then let the match continue anyway, even though Matt was clearly not there. And because he's already heading to the hospital. And this pissed off fans. Because AEW allowed one of their veteran talents to compete while possibly concussed. And people say, well, Matt Hardy wanted to do it. It doesn't matter. Matt Hardy does not have control of the match. AEW is AEW show, not Matt Hardy's show. Matt Hardy has no right. He has no say if he wants to continue the match. If the referees and officials are telling you, you are fucked. You are fucked. Something's wrong with you. Stop competing. We're ending the match now. You just stop what you're doing and you just end the match. Just call this match a no contest. Go to the hospital, get checked out, take time off, and when you're 100%, then you can redo this match properly and do a much safer match, and just be careful next time, and you could do this match down the road. You could do it on Dynamite. The match itself, look, I can't really grade the match because it's unfair. It was unfair. It's unfair to grade this match. Normally, this was an actual match. If this was all booked, storyline, this match sucked ass. But because this was not a storyline, this was a serious injury, it'd be unfair to complain about this match because this match should have never even happened. I don't mean it should have happened because, the competitors, it wasn't worthy. This match was worthy to be on the show. The problem was Matt already got injured. They knew he was fucked, and they allowed him to continue. At least the fans are smart enough to know that it was not Sammy Guevara's fault because of all the controversy involving him earlier this year. At least the fans have fucking brains and not shitting on Sammy Guevara. But I know there's a few saying it was his fault that Matt got injured. It was not his fault. It was a complete accident. It's AEW's fault. They did this spot, which was already risky to begin with because you're doing a table spot not in a ring. You're not doing it in a crash pad area. You're doing this on concrete. This was a huge risk, and Matt Hardy's taking a bump. An old veteran who's taking his bump, they knew the risk, they did it. And unfortunately, Matt is now in the hospital. And not only that, the AEW allowed this guy to continue when this guy is clearly not right in his head. He wasn't right in the head, and they allowed him to continue. And this is what's going to piss people off. And this is the moment where fans turn off. And at the same time, can you really blame them? The moment this happened, fans were turned off. Either fans were confused of what was going on, or they were either pissed off because AEW allowed this. So this is going to be a future reference from now on. If somebody gets severely injured, stop the match, take the person who got injured out of it. I would rather see the match end abruptly, at least knowing that the guy is going to be safe, get him to a hospital, then rather than continue the match and risk injury, because that's what was even worse. Matt Hardy could have sustained another injury, or worse, Matt could have injured Sammy. Matt Hardy was so screwed up, people don't realize Matt Hardy could not only injure himself, he could have injured Sammy too, so we could have had 2 injuries. I respect Sammy and Matt Hardy for trying to give us a match, but let's be honest, the match was not worth it. You could have saved it for Dynamite. You could have done it another time. Your main focus, besides putting on a good show, is to keep the wrestlers safe. Matt Hardy should have just been sent to the hospital the moment he hit that ground. They should have just stopped the match and took Matt to the hospital, and that was it. But Matt said he wanted to continue. Because of that, it makes AEW look bad. AEW has the power. They had the power to say, no, Matt, we're stopping the match. You're going to hospital. But they didn't do that. They allowed them to continue. And because of that, they're facing backlash. So all future shows, not just AEW, for every wrestling show, if somebody gets hurt, if somebody's not right, stop the match immediately, check on them, and you know they're screwed up, and you know there's something wrong with them, take him to the hospital. Get him out of there. Get him to the hospital. Get him evaluated immediately. Because unfortunately, because of this show for a lot of people was ruined. And that is not fair for the show. And listen, we don't even know how Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara would have even done. We don't even know how long the match would have been. We don't know what kind of match they could have had. But unfortunately, because of what happened, and because of circumstances, it didn't go the way they wanted to do, and they are suffering backlash from it. So AEW, from now on, check on your athletes. Their health is more important. We can sacrifice a match if that means the safety of the athletes. So you're going to hear that a lot through everybody. You're going to hear that from Just Alex. I know that for a fact. You're going to hear that from Saw Monster. You're going to hear that from everybody. Every wrestler talking about this, you're going to probably hear the exact same thing. So I don't want to talk about it anymore. That's the end of the line. Wrestlers' health is more important. No matter what they say, if they're screwed up, you stop the match and you check on them. Don't let them continue. It's not their promotion. It's Tony Khan's promotion. And they're suffering backlash for it, and you know what? They deserved it. So that being said, let's try to shift gears now. Because at the end of the day, although that was stupid, I'm not going to try to let that moment ruin the rest of the show. I want to talk objectively about this show as a wrestling show itself, because that's what I want to talk about. With that being said, let's go ahead and just move on. Next is our first title matches for the AEW Women's Championship. We've got Hikaru Shida defending against my girl, my Facebook buddy, my Godzilla model-loving fan, Thunder Rosa, formerly known as Cobra Moon Lucha Underground, if you watched that. This was probably the one time I was actually legit looking for an AEW Women's match. You're going to hear this from everybody. Even if you're a hardcore AEW fan, you have to admit one of the weakest parts of AEW, if not the worst, is the women's division. We have said this. I've said this. It's become a cliche at this point. But the minute they announced Thunder Rosa, the AEW Women's Champions, fighting Hikaru Shida, my eyes just glued to you. I was like, what? Because Thunder Rosa is great. She is actually great. This is not me kissing her ass because, oh, we're buddies and everything. As a fan perspective, I have seen her enough to know that she's really fucking good. And Hikaru Shida is really good as well. And apparently NWA and AEW are on a working relationship, which I think is a good thing. Because that means that when NWA can work on a bigger scale, maybe that means Nick Aldis could come in. We could see, or James Storm. But they allowed Thunder Rosa to wrestle Hikaru Shida. And I might have to go back on this, but I think this might have been the best AEW women's match ever. I would not say this was like Bayley and Sasha Banks take over Brooklyn great. Because that still holds the crown for the greatest women's match of all time. You're never going to top that. The closest one was probably Becky Lynch and Charlotte at Evolution, that last Women's Day match. This was not that kind of level of a match, but in terms of AEW, of all the AEW women's matches we had, this is by far they're probably one of their best, if not their best match. My only gripe with this match really is the crowd was dead. Whether that was, and I'm willing to bet the majority of it was two things. Honestly, one, the crowd, there wasn't enough people in the crowd. Honestly, they only could fit only 10-15% people in there. So smaller crowds, it's going to be harder to hear them and get a reaction from them. But also, let's be honest, after the Matt Hardy, this was right after the Matt Hardy thing. So I felt bad for these ladies. The fact that they come right after the whole controversy and bullshit with the whole Matt Hardy situation. But these women went out there and they still did their best. So I'll give them both respect. They went out there and had a really good match. Despite the crowd being quiet, they had a good match. Now, I'll admit I kind of expected better. But again, we're not always going to expect things to be better. Sometimes you're going to get a good match. I'd rather just have a good match than these late shit in the match. If this match shit the bed, then this would have been horrible. But they didn't. They had a really good match. Thunder Rosa has always been one of my favorites. Hikaru Shida is by far one of the best athletes they have in that entire women's division. Those two went out there and had a really good match, despite the controversy. But honestly, now because of this, what's left for Hikaru Shida? Because clearly Thunder Rosa was not going to win. She's the NWA Women's Champion. She's not signed to AEW. Although AEW could really use a Thunder Rosa. There's so many women on that roster that just seem green and lack characters and charisma. That when we saw something like Thunder Rosa come in, it's a breath of fresh air. When we see someone like Ivelisse come in, it's a breath of fresh air. It seems like there's no effort into the women's division. Hikaru Shida is great, but besides Thunder Rosa, who's there left for her to fight? Again, I don't even know if Ivelisse is signed to a contract. The next best choice, in my opinion, would be Hikaru Shida versus Ivelisse at this point. That's the next best match you can do because, let's be honest, a lot of the women are from Japan. They can't cross over to the United States. Like, Riho can't come over. There's a lot of great women talent that can't come over here. And Bea Priestley is gone. She was released from AEW, who was their best women's wrestler. So we can't even get a proper Bea Priestley and Hikaru Shida match because I think that match could have been fantastic. So after this match, they really need to start building up the women's division. So if I had my way, I think they should do Hikaru Shida versus Ivelisse because that's the next best option because Britt Baker is not that choice. She's great as a character, but as terms of wrestler, she's fucking green. And that match, I don't see that match being good. Nia Rose, you can always do Nia Rose again. But we've already seen that. Penelope Ford would be great, but again, we've already seen that. We need to see some fresh matches. And I think Hikaru Shida Ivelisse match could be something. But I thought this match was very good. Thunder Rosa looked great. I even Facebook messaged her saying, really good job tonight. She gave me a thumbs up. Thunder Rosa, you're probably not going to watch this, but if you are, again, I want to say honestly, very good job. And I hope you continue on your success. I hope you and your family are staying safe. And I hope you're still doing your Godzilla marathons because I know you're a huge Godzilla fan because I've seen the inside of your house with your pictures and everything. I've seen your pictures of Godzilla's on the wall and I'm fucking jealous. And I think I should probably buy one of your calendars just for that, just for your performance. I think I'll just buy one of your modeling calendars next year. Just tell me when the next calendar's coming up and I'll probably buy it. But overall, I thought that was a very good match. Probably the best AEW women's match. Next match, another match, in my opinion, that did not need to be on the show. And I'll give the reason why. We have the Natural Nightmares, Scorpio Sky, and Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder, taking on Dark Order members Brody Lee, Colt Cabana, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson. Here's my question about this. Go ahead and fight me on this. It's okay if you have a counter argument for this. Just a suggestion. If the whole plan was to do Brody Lee versus Dustin Rhodes for the TNT Championship by using his 8-man tag to get there, why didn't they just do this 8-man tag on Dynamite? And then at AEW All Out for tonight, we get Brody Lee versus Dustin Rhodes for the championship. Serious question. Why there was no excuse why this title should not be on the line. It's your pay-per-view. Your championship should be on the line. This is something that WWE would do, not put their titles on the line. If the whole point was to do Dustin Rhodes and Brody Lee, why not just done this 8-man tag on Dynamite this past week, have Dustin get the victory, And this leads to Dustin versus Brody at the pay-per-view. Instead, we get this round 8 tag team match, which ultimately has led to Dynamite doing Brody and Dustin Rhodes anyway. There's honestly, really think about it, the match tonight should have been Brody versus Dustin Rhodes. Dustin wants payback on Brody for what he did to him, to the Nightmare family, and especially to his brother. He avenges his brother in a way by winning this 8-man tag. Because he wins this huge 8-man tag, he gets a shot at Brody 1-on-1 for the championship at All Out. But instead, it was like they were late to this project. It was like, shit, we'll just do the tag team match All Out. That doesn't mean this match was bad. But it just felt like this match would have been better if you just done this at Dynamite. This didn't feel like a pay-per-view match. It felt like a Dynamite match. This should have been a TNT Championship match. And the minute they announced this match, I just questioned and go, why is the title not on the line? I don't understand. Why is the title not on the line? It's not like the champion wasn't even competing. The champion was fucking competing at the show. So why is the champion not defending the fucking belt? Why are we doing this match on Dynamite? The title should have been tonight. But it is what it is. I don't know why they're doing it. Probably just to try to boost ratings, I guess. But the title should have been tonight. It really should have. Again, what are you going to do? It is what it is. The tag team match was a basic TV match. Nothing great, nothing spectacular, nothing terrible. It was just an 8-man tag team match that builds in for next week's Dynamite. That's about it. That's really about it. This is where the show started to pick up now. Started really to pick up. So now we have, excuse me, give me a sec. Throat's getting a little dry. We have Omega and Page defending the AEW Tag Team Championships against FTR in nearly 30 minutes. This was an almost 30-minute match, about 29 minutes and 40 seconds. Again, similar to my own Grievous, I kind of wish the crowd was a little bit more alive. But again, because of the Matt Hardy stuff, honestly, people were still not in the right mind. We did this match. I would say this might have been the match of the night. I'm going to have to kind of listen to other people's reviews. I might have to go back and watch this match again, but I think this was probably the match of the night. I think some people might agree. We'll just see. I think it was this match of the night. I thought these guys work well together. You know, we know Omega and Page are more of the new style, but we know FTR are more of the old school 80s, 70s and 80s type of guys. They're more the old school golden era wrestlers like Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard and the Steiner brothers. They're more of those type of guys. So we knew these guys were going to have a really good match. And they did. They really did. Some cool spots there, some near falls. But FTR ended up winning basically because Omega accidentally hit Heyman with a knee strike, a V-trigger. Gets taken out, gets hit not once but twice with the pile driver, assisted pile driver, and loses. Heyman gets pinned to lose the AEW Tag Team Championships. First of all, right decision. We need an actual tag team. Because let's be honest, guys. Omega and Page, they had a unique story going as this team that used to be close, but now they're being forced into a team. But they're not a legit team. They're single stars. FTR need those belts way more because they're an actual tag team. And plus, we need to get to the Young Bucks and FTR. Which, I think they might do that at Full Gear. With Young Bucks winning this match tonight, I think this could be Young Bucks versus FTR at Full Gear, which already that match alone will sell that pay-per-view. That'll be a huge match to do. And then another match you could probably do is probably this one. You see Heyman Page, he's down and out. He's grabbing his head. He's trying to figure out what's going on. You see Omega getting frustrated because we've seen this from Omega. They've done stuff like this when Omega either loses or he almost loses. He starts getting more annoyed and kind of aggressive, kind of just out of control, frustrated. He grabs almost like this table, like a folding table. And it looks like he's going to hit Heyman, but he just drops it. And he just walks off. He doesn't acknowledge Heyman Page. He's just like, walks off frustrated. And you see the camera going backstage following Omega. And the Young Bucks like, what happened out there? Are you okay? And Omega's like, I'm done. I'm done with this shit. I'm going home. I'm leaving. And he tells the Young Bucks, look, Big Mac, you want to come with me? Let's go. We're going to leave right now. And it didn't go. Omega got into a car and he left. Young Bucks were left confused and Heyman Page is stuck in the ring. This is clearly teasing an Omega turn because let's be honest, everyone was saying that Heyman Page should turn heel. And let's be honest, Heyman should not be turned heel because he's one of the biggest baby faces right now or fan favorites in AEW right now. He's a sympathetic character we can kind of relate to. But ever since Omega came to AEW, he has not been the same Omega from Japan. And they have dropped teases, subtle teases of Omega heel turn, like a psycho killer, more vicious, more versatile Omega. All this is leading to is a potential Omega heel turn. And I think that's where they're going. And I think, here's my prediction, at Full Gear, we're getting Heyman Page versus Kenny Omega. It's going to be heel Omega versus babyface Heyman Page. It's eventually going to happen. I could see something where on episode of Dynamite, we get Omega and Page. They get into a fight, but they realize, look, we need to work together. We have a rematch. They have a rematch against FTR on Dynamite. They lose again, and then at that moment, Omega just snaps. He assaults Heyman Page and just busts him open and just goes full-on cleaner style Omega. Just destroys this guy. And then you have a match at Full Gear with Heyman and Omega. Because they've been telling this story for a while, too. The story's right there. Again, Omega and Page, the story they've been going, the teases they've been doing that with Full Gear along with the Young Bucks and FTR, again, that's going to sell the pay-per-view. That's going to be a huge match to do. So overall, I thought that was a very good match. But again, the crowd started getting into it towards the end of the show. But this was a long match. Again, I know not everyone can handle long matches. It's just not everybody's cup of tea. But the match is good enough. You can watch a long match. I mean, we've seen people talk about Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart in an Iron Man match that actually went overtime. But again, because I think of Matt Hardy stuff, people were just kind of still concerned, still confused, and trying to figure out what the hell's going on with that. And also, again, it's a small crowd, so you can't get that big reaction. Then we move on to Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy 3, the third and hopefully final match of this feud in the first ever Mimosa Mayhem match, where the goal of the match is either win by pin, submission, or throwing your opponent into a giant tub, or pool, I should say, of orange and alcohol, which is mimosa. The minute this match was announced, this was either going to go one or two things. Either this was going to be fun comedy, or this was going to be one of the trashiest things. This was none of those. Because this was not nearly as, I would say, as goofy I thought it was going to be. When they announced the match, I figured this match was going to be either super goofy, people love it, or this match was going to be just trash. But they took it more seriously, but they still had their fun moments, but they treated it like a no disqualification match. You had two sides of the ring, like platforms, with pools of mimosa. And each side of the ring. On two sides of the ring, I should say. So the match starts where Orange Cassidy goes right after Jericho. Jericho immediately hits a Codebreaker. And it almost got us for a second. For a second there, we thought it was over. Like, right there. And basically, they just started brawling. They started fighting. Jericho kind of dominated the first portion of the match. Then Orange Cassidy started making a comeback. They started doing teases of falling through the mimosa, smashing each other with glass, with serving tables and hitting maneuvers. In the match, we see Jericho on the outside ring. He's hanging on. I mean, he gets hit with not one but two orange punches. That's what I like to call them. I know, bad joke. But he hits it with two super orange punches, and Jericho immediately just falls into the pool of the mimosa. And Orange Cassidy wins. The match did not drag. It got a decent amount of time. I was never bored. I thought this match pacing was very good. It had its fun little moments, but I thought it was a very good match overall. And Orange Cassidy wins. Jericho has got to be one of the most unselfish wrestlers on the planet. He's up there with guys like Mick Foley. I think Mick Foley is the king of unselfish matches, because Mick Foley will put anybody over. I mean, this is a guy that will lose a million matches. But Jericho's up there as one of the most unselfish wrestlers out there. He will lose to someone like Orange Cassidy, whose whole gimmick is that he's lazy, and make him into $1 million. Because let's be honest, Jericho's past his prime. Jericho's goal should not be in the spotlight in the winning championships, but he'll win championships from time to time, and it's cool. But he's also out there to help make some of these stars. Like, look, he made a star of Jungle Boy. He had that brief little feud with him. Because of his match with Heyman Page is now becoming one of the bigger stars of AEW, a fan favorite. And his match with Orange Cassidy's put Orange Cassidy on the map. This guy, Jericho, put over Orange Cassidy not once, but twice. He's put him over twice. And the third time was on pay-per-view in the co-main event. Gotta respect Jericho for that. He may be sometimes controversial with some of the things he says. The whole demo god thing is just stupid. But you gotta respect the guy for willing to sacrifice a win. Sacrifice a win to put somebody else over on pay-per-view, like someone like Orange Cassidy, who is a great wrestler, who's a great athlete. Orange Cassidy's gimmick, yeah, he's lazy, but at the end of the day, he's proven that he can wrestle, he can go, he can get tough. He can't be taken seriously. Will he be a world champion at this point? It's possible now. It's very possible. When he first came in, you didn't think this guy was going to be world champion. Maybe tag team mid-card at best. But after his recent matches with guys like Pac and Jericho, you could totally see this guy now potentially being a world champion in the near future. So I thank Jericho for that. For willing to make Cassidy look like $1 million out there, because Cassidy's fucking good, and Jericho's still great as always on the microphone, as a character, him evolving, and he still has some of the more important matches on the card. Even if he's not in the main event, you're always looking forward to seeing what Jericho's going to do next, and that's what I can respect about Jericho. So I thought this match, for a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be, it was given a decent amount of time. It didn't overstay its welcome. They didn't do anything too corny. It was a fun match. It was a good match. Orange Cassidy won. Jericho didn't look weak. But now the question is, what does Jericho do now? Because clearly I don't think this feud is going to continue. There's no point doing a third or fourth match between these two. So what does Orange Cassidy do next? And what does Jericho do next? No, like, serious question. Like, it's possible. But Jericho's now done with Orange Cassidy. There's some stuff you could do with him. There's some fresh feuds you could do with him. There's still talent that we haven't thought of that could be great against Jericho. I mean, again, there's still that rumor about Mike Tyson versus Jericho, that he still wants that match. Maybe that's the direction they go for Full Gear. Maybe it's Jericho and Tyson, or Mike Tyson. Maybe that's the big celebrity match they do. It's a possibility. Main event. We have Jon Moxley defending AEW World Champion against Maxwell Jacob Freeman, aka MJF. And if Jericho or Moxley used the paradigm shift, his finisher, he would have lost the AEW Championship. basically his finisher is banned. When this match first was announced, my main prediction was MJF. Because MJF was red hot. He has a lot of momentum right now. You know, he's undefeated. He hasn't lost a single match, or at least he hasn't been pinned or submitted. He's on a roll. He's easily the best heel right now, and I will say the best talker. Now his choice was MJF. But then I started watching other people's, reviews and predictions and long story term booking, and then especially the Casino Battle Royal. The minute they announced that Casino Battle Royal, then everything kind of got switched, because I was like, okay, it all comes down to the Casino Battle Royal. That's what it comes down to. Whoever wins the Casino Battle Royal will determine who's winning. And when I saw Lance Archer won, I thought to myself, there's no way they're doing MJF and a Lance Archer match. Because they're both heels. It wouldn't work. So at that point, and then plus with also other possibilities, I think at this point I kind of switched over. I think it was going to be Jon Moxley. And he did win. And look, and again, these guys work great. That was a very, again, kind of almost old school match. You have Moxley, who's the brawler, striker. He loves to fight, almost like that ECW guy. And you have Maxwell Jacob Freeman, who's this born-bred wrestler. He's this old school guy type of wrestler as well. Old school heel. And you have two different styles, but at the end of the day, Moxley's not just a brawler. He can wrestle. Moxley has said some of his favorite types of matches were submission technical matches. And that's kind of the whole story they're playing off, is two different styles, but Moxley can hold his own. But the question was, could he beat MJF without using the paradigm shift? We see MJF out wrestling Moxley and clearly gain the better of him. But we've seen the minute Moxley starts brawling with MJF and he busts open MJF. He was in control. And I like that little touch, how they kind of, as soon as they got to their other's environment, they were at a disadvantage. It was like as soon as he hit the ring, MJF was out wrestling him. But the minute they were out fighting outside the ring, Moxley was in control. And it kind of played off that. See MJF working over the shoulder, left shoulder of Moxley. Again, smart move, because he has that salt of the earth submission, which is a Fujiwara armbar. Take out the arm. So again, very similar to like a lot of these world championship matches that we see, where it's a very old school storytelling world title match that we don't usually see a whole lot of. The finish I actually liked. You see Wardlow trying to hand MJF the diamond ring. He gives it to MJF, but MJF launders it. He doesn't catch it. He's looking for the ring. And of course, referee's being distracted by Wardlow. But MJF's trying to find the ring. Referee's back is turned. MJF tries to look for the ring. He finds it, but he looks at Moxley. And Moxley looks at him. He looks at the ref and goes, okay. And he immediately hits. Hits the paradigm shift. He hits the one move that he was not allowed to use right behind the referee's back, and this was smart. This was great storytelling, and he wins off the match for a couple reasons. First of all, this protects MJF. He did not lose 100% clean. He lost to an illegal move. So even though MJF lost, he did not look weak. He didn't just get pinned clean. He lost to a banned move. But also, Moxley doesn't come out as a heel because MJF was going to use the Dynamite ring, who he has used the ring on countless times to win his matches. He's a cheater. So all Moxley did was decide, okay, I know what you're doing. I'm going to do something illegal. I'm going to hit you. And I'm going to strike you with it. He became an opportunist. And that's the whole story about this whole thing. Was Moxley was always one step ahead of MJF. Claims that he was smart and always had one step ahead, but Moxley was always a step ahead. The contract signing. Not actually going behind that. MJF calling out Moxley. MJF thought, oh, Moxley's going to come out from the crowd area. What happened? He came from behind the entranceway, assaulted MJF. MJF, the contract signed. Moxley signed a contract. MJF, haha, I got you. Your move is banned. You got nothing. What does Moxley do? Oh, I put a contract saying that I got to fight your lawyer. And if he doesn't fight me, you lose your title match. Here, MJF, he's got the dynamite ring. The referee's back is turned. He thinks he's going to win this in the bag. Moxley realizes, oh, the referee's back is turned. You're going to cheat. I'm going to cheat first. Paradigm shift. I love the storytelling that it was all about one up being the other, and Moxley beat MJF in his own game. And I like that storytelling. I really did. I don't know if a lot of people will catch that immediately, but I noticed that, and I like that. I like little subtleties like that. So with Moxley retaining, the next choice is Jon Moxley and Lance Archer. Now I'm going to say, save that for Full Gear. I repeat, do not do that match on Dynamite. I will be angry if you do that World Title match on episode of Dynamite. Do not do that. Do that at Full Gear. But here's a bigger reason why this match needs to happen. If you are a New Japan fan like I am, then you know where I'm going with this. Jon Moxley is the current IWGP United States Champion. Obviously, you wouldn't know it because it doesn't come out with the title, but he has the U.S. Heavyweight Championship of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Who did he beat to win that title? He beat, back in January, in the Tokyo Dome, he beat Lance Archer. Moxley has held that championship since January, since he beat Lance Archer. There is a story behind this. It's simple as this. Lance Archer, he wants to take Jon Moxley's title because Moxley took his title. And Archer has been just waiting for the day so he can finally get his revenge. And what better revenge than to fight Moxley and take the world title from him? You took my United States Championship, well, I'm going to take your world title. They need to tell that story with this. If they do not mention New Japan Pro Wrestling and this whole story is bullshit, no excuse. This isn't WWE where you have to ban that. AEW is allowed to mention this. Mention this program. There's a story here that makes sense. And some people are not going to get it. Archer lost his U.S. title at the biggest pay-per-view of New Japan to Moxley. And now that Moxley is the AEW World Champion, Lance Archer now is the number one contender. He has a chance now to avenge that loss by taking the AEW World Championship, taking the most prestigious title that Moxley has right now. And what better way than do an unsanctioned match, basically a lights out match. Barbed wire, tables, fire, glass tubes, pure violence between these two, because that's what these two guys are. Moxley's a striker. He's a brawler. These two are not going to go out there and have a wrestling match. I do not want a wrestling match. I want these two guys to blade the fuck out of each other. I want these guys to go to war. Basically, they're New Japan Texas Death Match, except 1,000 times more violent. I want like Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley levels of violent. Young Bucks versus FTR. Heyman Page versus Kenny Omega, Lance Archer and Jon Moxley in a lights out match for the AEW World Championship. I think that's a solid card for Full Gear. I think that's a great card thus far. And then if you throw in Evil East versus Hikaru Shida, again, 4 matches right there. Look at the 4 matches I just did. After this period, 4 matches like that. Just did 4 matches right off the bat. Right off the back. All they need to do is now come up with another 3 or 4 matches, and there you go. You have a perfect card for Full Gear. They need to tell that story. They need to tell the story of Lance Archer and Jon Moxley's time in Japan, because that's where it all started. Tell that story. That's important. And that's going to make the story even more relevant. They have history. Tell that story. That's what I would do. And they better, or I'm going to be angry. But again, I don't know if they're going to do Archer and Moxley at Full Gear. I think they should, because I think Omega and Page should have a match at Full Gear. Because that match is too big just to do on Dynamite. That's the plan they're going to do in a rivalry, which I think that's what they should do. Then they should do Omega and Page at Full Gear. And again, Young Bucks and FTR, you can't do that on Dynamite. That has to be pay-per-view. That's a dream match. Do that at Full Gear. And then build up Ivelisse as a threat to Hikaru Shida's title reign. Again, another really good, solid women's match you could do there. I think that's a really good card. So with that being said, I'm going to go over the card here and give my overall thoughts, because I will say this, AEW's All Out this show was by far the weakest AEW pay-per-view they've done. I think we can all admit that. This was by far the weakest. So I'm going to go over the card, I'm going to go over the matches, and overall give you my score. So, Britt Baker, Big Swole. That match was shit. Did not need to be on there. Jurassic Express versus Young Bucks. Very good over, but again, didn't really need to be on the card. But good match nonetheless. Casino Battle Royal. It was just a Battle Royal. It was in the middle. Nothing special. The Matt Hardy stuff, again, it was bad, but then again, because of the injury, I can't, it's really unfair to really grade that match. You know, then you have the Thunder Rosa, Hikaru, I thought that was good. The 8-man tag was decent enough, but again, didn't really need to be on the card. FTR, Omega, I thought that was good. The Mimosa match, I thought that was good. And then the main event, I thought was good. So really, if I didn't count the Matt Hardy stuff, really, 2 matches really, only 1 match really sucked. But if you want to include the Matt Hardy one, I have to grade, honestly, it was shit. And they got 2 average matches, and then the rest were actually, you know, good. So if I had to really grade this all together, I probably would give it like a 7.5. I think that's the safe bet to do. I can't really go any higher. I can't say this was an 8 because, again, the Matt Hardy thing, I can understand. It really kind of degraded the show. It really did. But like I said, the majority of the show, most of the matches were still good. Even average matches weren't bad. It's just they were just okay. The Britt Baker Big Swole match just fucking sucked. That was donkey dick. And of course, the Matt Hardy thing, you know, unfortunate because Matt Hardy got injured. It was unfortunate. But stuff like this happens. So I give it like a 7.5. I think that's a fair score to give it. Definitely the weakest show. Not a bad show, but by far the weakest of the AEW pay-per-views thus far. So we had Jay Houston say hello, and then we have Bob Saget. I don't know if that's a new guy. He talked about, you know, giving respect to Matt Hardy and Guevara, Thunder Rosa's my girl. Well, she's my girl first. Chris Jericho's the go, and how come her camera's off? Are you hiding? You know, I don't always like revealing myself all the time. I'm kind of getting used to this wall background. I just personally like to do that more. But an hour review, a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I figured this would maybe only be a half hour, maybe 40 minutes at most. But an hour, wow. Kind of surprised. But so that's it right there. So that's my overall thoughts about the show itself. Again, by far the weakest show, but there was some good stuff on the show. There was one really fucking embarrassment of a match, and then there was one match that's really going to define the enjoyment of the show, which was the Matt Hardy situation. And I think that's kind of unfortunate because the rest of the show wasn't bad at all. But I think because of that moment, it's really going to put a damper on the show for a lot of people. In fact, some people might get the show automatic thumbs down just because of the Matt Hardy thing. And it sucks. It sucks because they went that route. I think if Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara did the match they were supposed to do, or if they just immediately ended the match, I don't think this pay-per-view would have been nearly as hated. I do believe that. But you can't change the past. You can only go forward. If Matt's in the hospital, I honestly hope he's okay. I hope he's okay, and I hope he's doing well. And I hope to see him back soon. We all hope Matt Hardy does come back soon. He's 100%. We hope that happens. We hope to see him again very soon, and we hope he's staying healthy. But that is it for my review. So other than that, guys, go ahead, comment down below. Tell me your thoughts about the show. Did you like the show? Did you not like the show? What are your thoughts about the Matt Hardy situation? Did it affect your enjoyment of the show? Did it not? Explain why. Again, give me your score down below. What did you guys think about the show? I don't know what next is for me for the schedule. Maybe I'll try doing another Q&A, but unfortunately Q&As have not been that good as of late. People have been kind of tuning out my Q&As. I don't know when the next wrestling show would be. I would like to try to see maybe I could do a G1 Climax kind of predictions for New Japan because G1 Climax 30 is coming out. If I could get Brandon to come over, maybe we could do like a predictions when the list of brackets comes out and the blocks. We could kind of make predictions on that. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But again, my guess, hopefully we do a Q&A. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. But either that, guys, we're going to end this video off because it is getting late for a lot of people. So either that, I want to say take care of my excuse me. Almost burped. Let me start over. So I want to say is take care.